Imagine you come across a jewel, not just any jewel, a diamond that is worth millions, a diamond deep blue in color and is almost as big as a golf ball. The only problem is, it is said to be cursed. And over the centuries, it has been stolen, remade, and all of its owners, all have mysteriously died. Would you still take it? Would you risk owning a cursed jewel for millions of dollars? If you said yes, you would not be alone. Many people risk their lives in the pursuit of getting the elusive diamond, better known as the Hope Diamond. The beginnings of this dangerous diamond starts in a remote mine in India, specifically in the Kolar mine in Guntur, India. In this mine, many diamonds have been pulled from the earth, but perhaps none would be as glorious as this blue giant diamond. The diamond would technically be a Golconda diamond. A Golconda diamond is a diamond mine from the Godavari Delta in India, which is where the mine is located. Golconda diamonds were known for nearly 2,000 years as being some of the finest diamonds one could get in the entire world. Many famous diamonds would come from this delta region, including the cursed jewel, the Hope Diamond. The Hope Diamond is massive blue diamond, would be blue due to the boron in the soil during its creation. And as its early history, as in first being pulled from the ground, it is surrounded in hearsay and tall tales. Some say the diamond was used on a religious statue, some say it was stolen, some say it was bought outright. Either way, the blue diamond would end up in the hands of a French merchant who was in India in 1666. The merchant's name would be Jean-Baptiste Tavernier. The merchant bought many gems while in India, but none as great as this prized jewel. The color being so unique, it was gained the nickname Tavernier Blue, a new blue named after the French merchant. When John first bought the stone, it was around 116 carats. For those who don't know, carats is how diamonds are measured. 1 carat is equal to about 1/5 of a gram, and the average engagement ring size in carats is anywhere between 1/2 a carat to 1 carat. And the Hope Diamond is 116 carats, though since in this time period measurements were more than likely not the most accurate, even if it's ballpark around that number, that's a big diamond, which means it's also a valuable diamond. Jean would return back to France with the items he purchased in India and sell the blue diamond along with 14 other large diamonds and 7 smaller diamonds to King Louis XIV in 1668. The king, years later, in 1673, would have the diamond recut and reset by the court jeweler, Sieur Pitou. Pitou would take around 2 years to completely finish the jewel to the king's standards. It was quite literally a diamond fit for a king. The stone was set into a gold necklace and renamed Le Bleu de France, the French blue, though some would simply just call it the Blue Diamond of the Crown. This diamond would be so beautiful and worth so much that the king himself would only wear it on ceremonial occasions and never simply displayed it. Then King Louis XV would come into power and decided he wanted to have the diamond redone to fit his standards. So in 1749, the new court jeweler, a Andrew Jacomin, would begin working on it. When he finished it, it was received with great joy by the king. The stone, in its new setting, would stay in its configuration for many years. The new setting was now extremely elaborate, and now in the form of a pendant, used only for the Order of the Golden Fleece occasions. The pendant was now covered in diamonds, the French being the centerpiece, a 107 carat red spindle surrounding it, along with 82 painted diamonds and 112 yellow diamonds, all on one pendant. This was diamonds upon diamonds upon diamonds. And because of the craftsmanship, and I also imagine the cost of the pendant, nothing would change about it for a long time, lasting the entire reign of Louis XV and the reign of Louis XVI, though this is where the diamond starts to take a dark turn. In 1791, Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette would try to flee during the French Revolution. During this attempted evacuation, the royal jewels would be taken over and controlled by the government, not the royalty anymore. And as more unrest would happen in France, as now there was a vacuum of power, sometime in September 1792, during all the chaos happening in the country, some of the royal jewels were stolen. One of them being that big French blue diamond. And into the shadows the diamond went, changing hands in back rooms or being locked away for decades. We simply do not know. The Hope Diamond would not reappear into the light until 1812, in the hands of a British diamond merchant by the name of Daniel Ellison. Daniel supposedly sold it to King George IV of England, though it was never confirmed. I imagine the royalty didn't want the people knowing, they just spent a lot of money on an elaborate diamond. But it makes complete sense that he bought it. A diamond ornate that was previously in another king's possession, and, let's be honest, who at this time could really afford a diamond that massive besides royalty? George IV would keep it until his death in 1830, where once again the diamond would be in the shadows of history. There are two major possibilities of what happened with that diamond after George's death. The first being, the king had many debts, and the diamond was simply sold behind closed doors to help settle some of those debts. The second being that his mistress, an Elizabeth Cunningham, stole it after he died and would end up selling it herself. Either way, whoever sold it, we know who would end up with it in the end. It would be a Thomas Hope, who would not only have the money to buy it, but also the connections to high society to have the opportunity to buy it. Thomas Hope would be a partner in a banking firm that was over 200 years old, and would happen to be a major financer to the Dutch East Indian Company. So needless to say, Thomas Hope had a lot of money and a lot of connections. But Thomas himself wouldn't bring the diamond into the limelight and out of the shadows. No. That would happen with his brother's help, a Henry Philip Hope. Henry was a gem collector, a jeweler, and published the mysterious blue diamond in a catalog of gem collections. Only, the blue diamond that was surrounded by hundreds of other diamonds was in a new configuration. Somewhere from leaving France and ending up in Thomas's hands, the Hope diamond once again was modified. By who? We do not know. But the blue diamond received a new set and was now surrounded by small white diamonds now, instead of hundreds of yellow and red diamonds. And once the world saw this diamond in the catalog, the French blue diamond was renamed by the public as the name we know it today. It was named after the brothers. It was named now the Hope Diamond. Eventually, both the Hope brothers would die, and the children of Thomas Hope would receive the diamond through his will. And this is where the family drama starts. Two of the children, a Henry Thomas, the oldest son was named after the uncle and a father, a little confusing, and the other child, Louisa, these two would fight, and fight hard over their father's inheritance. A 10-year legal battle, all for the family diamonds. A fortune that would be worth tens, if not hundreds of millions. Eventually, after 10 years, they compromised and split up the jewel collection. Henry Thomas, the oldest sibling, would receive 8 of the most precious gems, including the now famous Hope Diamond, and the rest will go to Louisa. Then, in 1851, Henry Thomas got the itch to display the Hope Diamond, and decided to display it in the event, the Great Expedition of London, and a few other museums. But besides those moments, Henry Thomas would be too scared to bring the diamond out, and mainly he would keep it in the bank vault. Eventually, Henry Thomas would pass, and his wife would gain full ownership of the Hope Diamond, where even more family drama would start. You see, she did not like her daughter's husband. She thought he wasn't a good man. And now in possession of everything her and her husband have, she decided to change her will up a bit and leave the entire estate, including the Hope Diamond, not to her daughter, but rather to her daughter's youngest son, Henry Francis Pelham Clinton, on the condition that when Henry Francis became of adult age, he would add the surname Hope to his legal name to keep the Hope name alive. Henry Francis would gladly oblige, and would become Henry Francis Pelham Clinton Hope. Then in 1887, Henry Francis would receive the entire fortune and quickly let it go to his head. In 1894, he would meet an American concert singer by the name of May Yo, who he would marry within a year of meeting her. May loved the diamonds and would love to wear them, especially to events. That include wearing the Hope Diamond. She claimed she never wore the real diamond, only a replica to events. But Henry Francis basically said, in not these words, but like hell you did. The two of them would continue to spend money like it was going out of style. And eventually, it was all gone. The two of them found themselves between a rock and a hard place and were forced to sell the diamond. And in 1901, the diamond was sold for around £29,000, which is somewhere around $3 million today. It was sold to a London jewel merchant by the name of Adolf Weil. In the same year Adolf bought the diamond, he would sell it to a diamond dealer by the name of Simone Frankel, who paid Adolf around $5 million in today's money. Once in the hands of Simone, the Hope Diamond disappeared back into the shadows. For a time, the Hope Diamond was forgotten about, until 1907, when rumors and stories started to pop up being told about this hidden diamond. Stories that the diamond was cursed, that anyone who possesses it is doomed, and that Simone himself was too scared to bring it out for his own safety. Now, if I had to guess, this wasn't by accident these rumors started to float around. In fact, I would say it was a genius marketing ploy to create interest in the Hope Diamond. For Simone, during a depression in 1907, and started referring the diamond to people as the hoodoo diamond. Either way, there was hype and interest in the diamond even in this economic down period. And Simone was able to sell it in 1908 to a Turkish diamond collector by the name of Salomon Habib for around $13 million in today's money, but Salomon had overreached and perhaps bought something he couldn't afford. By 1909, Salomon was up to his neck in debt and had to auction off the Hope Diamond. Salomon would also create a story surrounding the diamond in hope to increase the diamond's worth. Salomon's story was that the Sultan, Abdulhamid, of the Ottoman Empire had owned it for a time period. Though there was no proof, and this was more than likely a fabricated story to help increase the price. In the auction, the Hope Diamond was sold for around $2.5 million to a person in Paris. The stone, as soon as it was in the hands of the new owner, would be removed and reset into a new piece. The following year, it would be sold again for around $5 million to a Pierre Carter, who also couldn't exactly afford the Hope Diamond. So Pierre would try to sell this beautiful blue diamond to an Evelyn Walsh McLean, who was an American aristocrat in Washington, D.C. Pierre would try extremely hard to sell this diamond to her, even making up his own story for the diamond. Evelyn, at first, was not buying the story that he was spinning. So in a Hail Mary, Pierre had it reset into a new, quote-unquote, modern style for the era. And because of this new look, she loved it. I guess a diamond is a girl's best friend. Now, everything was set, no pun intended, for Evelyn to buy the Hope Diamond. A deal was made, And right before the money was exchanged, the New York Times got involved. A reporter heard how the diamond was going to be bought and sold and decided to make up a story and publish it to sell more newspapers. The story, in short, was talking about the Hope family and how their diamond was cursed and led to the Hope's family's downfall. Well, Evelyn would hear or read about this supposed curse and wanted out of the deal immediately. Which Pierre basically replied with, "Hell no, we had a deal." Butting heads, the two of them eventually settled, by Pierre lowering the price of the diamond and finally selling it in 1911 for around $9.5 million to Evelyn. Evelyn would hold on to the Hope diamond until 1947, where she gave it to her eldest grandchild, on the conditions that the grandchild could not get the diamond until they turned 25, and once they received it, had to wait 2 decades before selling it. But you know, with aristocrat children and grandchildren, they're so good with money and not squandering away family fortunes. Oh wait, that is precisely what they are good at. And that is exactly what happened. The grandchild would receive such massive debt that they would go to court to get the 2-decade waiting period removed, which did get removed. So the diamond could now be sold, and would be sold, and be bought by a diamond merchant by the name of Harry Winston. Harry, after buying the Hope diamond, would take the diamond on tour, along with a whole collection of jewelry and precious stones. Bring it all over the United States, to museums, to charity balls, promotional events, and even on television. The Hope diamond made television showing in 1955 on a game show called The Name's the Same. And after some years of touring, Harry's age started to catch up with him, and he would meet Smithsonian mineralogist George Switzer. George went to visit Harry and tried to convince him to donate the Hope diamond to the National Museum of Natural History. And George must have been one hell of a salesman, for he did convince Harry to freely give up the Hope diamond, a multi-million-dollar diamond, to the museum. And something I found funny by the way Harry sent the Hope diamond, again, a multi-million-dollar diamond, was he sent it by standard U.S. mail in a plain box wrapped in brown paper. That's right. On November 10th, 1958, Harry sent a centuries-old cut diamond, one of the most famous diamonds, worth more than most people will make in a lifetime, to a museum in the same method of you sending someone cookies through the mail. Blows my mind. But it worked. The Hope diamond arrived safely to the museum. The museum would show it off, along with other gems, even occasionally let the Hope diamond go to other countries for display. For decades, the diamond and its blue hue would sit and be seen by thousands, untouched. That would be until 2005, when after doing some research, the Smithsonian would find out that the Hope diamond was in fact the stolen French blue crown jewel, one of the stolen jewels during the chaos of the aftermath of the French Revolution. So the Smithsonian created a new setting for the diamond in 2009, maybe to help hide the fact where it came from, maybe to get more eyes on the diamond. Either way, they quickly changed their minds and in 2010 put it back in its traditional setting, which I wonder how much taxpayer money that cost to do. But now the Hope diamond sits at the museum, and I don't see it moving anytime soon. The current value of the Hope diamond is between $250 to $350 million. It varies greatly depending on who you ask. And if I learned anything from researching the Hope diamond, is that the story tends to be worth more than the jewel itself. The Hope diamond has an interesting history, changing hands and forms multiple times, all to end up in a museum. How Indiana Jones must love. But that is the tale of the cursed diamond, a diamond that made its way halfway around the world and now is on display for the public to see. And with that being said, thank you all for listening.